So in this scene, I've added a block to the scene and shaped it as a bed. And I've added a character to my scene that I'm going to use to generate my animation. Um, I know that as the character sits back on the bed, they're going to be a little further back. So what I'm going to do is move them forward a bit. Um, so they'll be kind of towards this forward edge of the bed. Um, if you need them oriented the other way on the bed, that's fine too. The other option would be just make the bed a little bigger. So I know I'm not going to run out of space. We'll make it, big and square in this case. So you can size it however you need it and orient it so the character will be on it. Um, anyway, I'm going to take the character and I'm going to just raise them up so they're level at the top of the bed, because that's where I'm going to want the animation to happen. And then what I will do is go ahead and add the animations. Now I've collected the three animations I'm going to use from the Mix Moves content folder in the content manager. And so the first one I want is this Neo 03. So I'll go ahead and add that to my scene of the character. I'm at frame 1 on the timeline. And then I'm going to stop that. This is actually just a pose. It's a static pose, even though it will, play on indefinitely until you stop it. And then I'm going to add this second one, which is also just a pose. So it will play on until you stop it. And what I do notice is that it does not really make a very nice transition at all. You can see the legs are passing, through each other, because it's just going from one pose to another. And that doesn't quite look right to me. And then, so if I add this last motion, it actually is an animation that goes from this pose to a different one. And so that one does work well. If I add that here, then the character transitions from one pose to the other, and then they're laying back on the bed. Okay, so what I want to do in this case is fix that first pose. And rather than having to keyframe the whole thing, what I'm going to do is just replicate this exact motion using the Mix Moves panel, because what it does is generate the in-between moves through a matrix of looking up what moves it needs to get from one pose to another. So you don't need to do this, but I'm going to remove the animation. And I'm going to launch the Mix Moves panel. And I want to start with a kneeling pose. And that was this one, actually. Confusingly, it's called sit, even though it's in the kneel. And that's because they're going to go down into the kneeling pose. So basically, you can first choose your character type up here. The female CC and female are actually quite similar. One is just a little more recent and updated, and the CC ones tend to move a little faster, but you may want to try the regular female as well. They're, actually pretty similar. We'll leave it on CC for now. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and add this one, because that's the kneeling position that the character started in. So I'll go ahead and add that, and the character is kneeling down, and you can see that it's dropped down to the floor. So go back to first frame and raise it up. Okay, now we want to go to let's go back to where we're all the way down. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and add another one. We have the sit on the ground, and on this one we're going to use this one. So we'll go ahead and add that, and they snap to the ground again. But we can fix that as well. So let me find where that motion started. Okay, you see they've snapped to the ground. And what we can do on that is just align align and to the root, and they'll pop up right back into place. All right, and then on the last one we can then do the legs extended so they're lying on the ground. So we'll go ahead and add that one as well. You'll see it did the same thing. Oops. Let's go ahead and play that forward, see how it goes. And then the last one they've dropped down. So we'll do the align to root again. Oops. Let me get this better so you can see what I'm doing on the screen. That went a little off my screen. And align and to the root, and there we'll snap it back up to the root. So then we have the transition back to that animation properly. Okay, so now if I play the whole thing, I see here the knee is going down into the bed. Kind of too much so, but after that it's pretty much fine. So we want to fix that first transition. So let me rewind a bit and find my place again. Okay, so I want to work on it right there where the knee has gone down into the ground. And I'm going to go ahead and close this panel now. And we'll start adjusting some things here. So what I want to do is find exactly where, right where the knee touches down and shouldn't go any lower. Looks like right about there. And what I'm going to do is open my motion layer panel. You can press in on the keyboard to open it. And then what I want to do here is just grab that knee and at this point just move it a very, very tiny bit, and then we'll move it back. Okay, you can see it's moving funny, and what's happening is you're fighting against the lock that's on the knee. So let's go ahead and undo that. And I'm going to unclick this little lock for that leg. And now I'm going to move it again. All right, see, that worked much better. Okay, so after you moved it like that, place it right back where it was. And that's going to set your keyframe for your start of the animation we're going to do on that. Now, if you spin open your motion layer, you can see it's added a key. And in fact, I have mine set to body part, and so it's only really adjusted the parts that have moved in the leg, and so that's fine. That's all I want. All right, so now I'm going to run it forward until the leg stops moving, which looks to be about right there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is raise that knee up. So I'll just pull it up, and it will set more keys there. I'm still in body part because I don't need to set the whole, the entire full body. So at this point, what we have is it goes down, the knee stops, the character goes on down, and plays on through. Okay, notice when it gets to this next motion that the knee is back down in the original position. So let's scroll up and right click on your motion there. And we are going to select apply align to previous motion layer. And what that will do is put the bones for the first frame of this clip into the position of the bones at the last frame of the last clip. And see how it's set keys for all the bones, and it's matched the or matched the preceding clip. So now when it goes on, it will go ahead and then play into the current animation. All right, so that's how I fixed the entire thing. Now I want to show you one more thing as well. So since we've gotten that entire animation working correctly, now I'm going to go and do it again another way. And so I'm going to click and remove all animation. And then with the character is at the level I want them. This time I'm going to select the bed, right click on the bed and select convert to terrain. Okay, now the character will have hand and foot contact initially, I think, with the bed. And you can also enable hand contact as they're going to have their hands down on the bed as well. And then when we go in and add the motions in the Mix Moves panel, and I do recommend using the Mix Moves as it's a much easier way to add all of these and you get the proper transitions. So I'm going to go ahead and add first the sit kneel. And I press my space bar as soon as I see a hand go down on the knee because I know it's where I want it. And then I'm going to go to the sit ground. And I will add that one as well. Notice how the character stayed up on top of the bed the whole time this time. So I'm not going to have to go back and fix that other thing. And then I'm going to do the legs extended. Okay, so in this case, you've saved yourself from having to, do the root alignment because the floor is defined, and so the character cannot go below the floor, go below the terrain. And so that's an even easier way to do it. And I recommend that, but don't let the hands or the feet or the hands or the feet go off the bed in that case because they will snap down to the grid layer. So you make the bed a little bigger or make sure you position the bed so that the character will not go off it in that case. Okay, hope that's helpful.